Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Pat with Like Attracts Like Evolution Mentorships. And today I want to share with you the number one reason people block themselves from being happy. We've all been there. We found ourselves maybe in a happy place, a high vibe place. Things are going well, looking forward to new opportunities, relationships going well, work's not too bad. We're like, hey, I don't have a worry in the world. This is awesome. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, seemingly, literally, we drop and we get into a really, really bad place or a really low space. Sometimes you could feel it coming on, but there's no actual reason in the world for it. And the more we're aware of how we're falling, the more judgment we apply, and then the more upset we get. So if this is you and you're ready to break the pattern and cycle of blocking yourself from being happy, stick around because this video is for you. We're going to dive in deep when we come back. So the number one reason that we block ourselves from being happy more often is because we have an unconscious fear of something bad happening. There is an unconscious thing that happens inside of humans that once we recognize that we've been happy for a certain period of time, our brain references back all times that we've been happy and had something happen to us or come out of the blue and ruin our mood or something go wrong. So for fear of that fall, we have literally a mechanism in us that will keep us in a baseline that isn't so high, isn't so happy, so that when we fall, we don't have far to go. This happens in our experience in two very powerful ways. The first one is there is a conditioned, unconscious, and unreasonable expectation given to us through society that happiness is the only desired emotion. It's literally everywhere that we look, from media to movies. We are conditioned to believe that the only state we should find ourselves in is happiness. And if we aren't in a place of happiness, if we are going through something, or if we were experiencing any other emotion other than happiness, then it is deemed as bad. Human beings are very intelligent from a very young, impressionable age. And what happens is we begin to understand this very quickly, that anything other than happiness is weak. It's unwanted. We're unworthy. It's unreasonable for us to expect anything other than being in a happy state. So what we do is we take all of the unwanted emotions and the experiences attached to them, and we push them down. We push them down into what we call a shadow version of ourselves, the version that we banish from our own mind's awareness, let alone the collective's observation. These are all representative of us judging emotions other than happiness as being bad. So this energy is stored inside of us, and it is also used to create your reality, which brings me to number two. The second most powerful reason that we are constantly fearing something happening to us out of the blue is because it's not happening to us out of the blue. It's happening to us out of the oblivious. What that means is that the energy that represents the shadow versions is still inside of you. It's still in your body cellularly. It's still physically, literally around you. And it's also in your conscious being stored in your subconscious mind. But since you've blocked those experiences and that energy as being bad and unwanted and not part of you, when it manifests itself into physical life, into reality, into your experiences, since we're not taking responsibility for it, then we also won't take responsibility for what's happening to us in the world, which creates this loop of constantly like being happy and then something going wrong or somebody doing something to us that will constantly be triggering this energy inside of you that you're pushing down. So here's what we do. For fear that something will happen to us out of the blue, we keep ourselves in a numb state, not allowing ourselves to be actually as happy as we can be. This is why sometimes people experience bouts of happiness and then out of nowhere, they block it, but they're not taking responsibility for blocking it. There won't be a reason triggered in the world as to why we feel off. We just will notice ourselves being too happy and then shut it down. And we shut it down because we've been trained to literally not want to fall so far. We've been happy before, then something happens, and then we drop. And so for fear of the drop, we keep ourselves in a numb state, and we don't allow ourselves to be happy. We literally block ourselves from being happy. The trick to this, the fix of the whole thing, is to do two things. One, be aware of the process. It's awareness of the process that will set you free from it. When you realize that life isn't just about being happy, that all of the other emotions are fine also. They're amazing. They're part of the process. You can learn just as much from a very sad day if you ask the right questions, if you do self-inquiry properly without judgment of the state. You can learn just as much from being off as you can from being in the best mood ever. They are both part of this. You need both. You wouldn't know how happy you could possibly be if you didn't know at one point the sadness that comes from being disconnected from yourself or from others or from life. You wouldn't know one without the other. It can't be a bad thing. It's the judgment of the emotion that keeps us in a loop of pushing it down and hiding it from ourselves and everyone else. And that's when it manifests in the world out of the blue. And then that's when we think things are out of control. And then that's what stops us from allowing ourselves to be fully happy in the moment. You don't have to fear any of this. And I promise you that there isn't a person on this earth ever that has ever incarnated, or I believe ever will, that hasn't also experienced these emotions in themselves. Some people just hide it really, really well, and they put out their A game. And if you're watching everyone else's A game while you're suffering inside of your B roll in your head and comparing it to everyone else who's acting like they don't have a problem, it's going to perpetuate the energy of that issue, which will create more of it in your life. It's releasing judgment from all of that, all of the emotions. When you find yourself in a happy place, enjoy it. Be happy. If it starts to shift, know that it's going to be something you need to either heal, to release, to integrate, or to learn in order to get something that you claimed you wanted to be. There is no bad emotion. There is nothing we should be judging. There is nothing we should be fearing. If it's happening to you, it's because you're prepared. It's because you're ready. The next thing that I would encourage you to do from that ready place that you find yourself in is give yourself permission when you may find yourself in a state that is undesired, if you will, or not representative of your happiest state. If you start feeling yourself starting to fall, be inquisitive with yourself. Ask yourself, ask the energy of the emotion, why? Why is this happening? What is being triggered? What can I do to heal this? What can I do to release this? What does this represent in my life? Asking inquisitive questions, self-inquiry, is what will release you from that part of the loop. It'll dissipate that energy that's been stored inside of you, and then you won't actually see as much of that in the world. You'll find yourself being able to stay happy longer, not because it's better, because it's more desired, but because it is actually our natural state. I believe we come here pretty happy, aligned humans with our higher selves and some sense of purpose or some platform that we want to be or do or have. It's experiential blocks that we pick up along the way and cut ourselves off from that prevent us from being our authentic self. So if you can release these blocks, you'll find yourself at a baseline of happiness more often with less fear of any lessons or unwanted emotions that are coming in, because all emotions will be seen as necessary parts of your human evolution. And that is what I wish for each and every one of you. This is where I leave you. If you have any other questions on this type of energy work or shadow work in general, something you would like to transform or shift in your own story, there's a link wherever you are watching this. You can reach out and we can potentially work on this together. So until next time, have an amazing day, a wonderful night, and I'll see you then.